How's it going, YouTube? Today I'm going to walk you through how to do a 13 Pro charging port repair. If you watch this video and you decide no way, I do take mail-ins. My contact details will be in the description and also at the beginning of the video. All of the tools needed to complete this repair, there will be links for in the description. And if you want to support the channel, just use one of those links below. What else? If you like this kind of content, subscribe for more. So the most difficult part of this repair, at least in my opinion, is going to be getting the screen off without breaking it. There are a couple of tools that we have for that. You can use an iSesamo if you want to, but I would highly suggest going out and finding one of these. It's called a Magic Glass. You'll notice how much wider it is, so it's able to disperse quite a bit more pressure over a wider area. Just the OLEDs right around the bottom are kind of fragile. One of the other things that we're going to use just to soften up the adhesive, it makes it far easier to remove. A lot of the times I'm not even using heat. You can use heat. It will help soften up the adhesive in combination with this. If you are excuse the term, but if you're a noob, that's not a bad option, as these are very expensive screens, and the last thing you want to do is damage a $300 screen. But the way the repair starts out, we need to wedge our Magic Glass and then try to wiggle it around until it gets to basically the center. Then we can put some isopropyl alcohol. And what we want to start doing is just gently prying. Right around 50%, the screen will start to let up. As you can see, it's really not in there very far. Once I'm done with that, then I can come in with my iSesamo. Now this is just my technique, but if you don't like the cutting motion, you can basically twist, and you just, the point is you're just trying to lift the screen along the sides. If this corner, whichever one the opposite corner of where you started is giving you some grief, either use more heat or more adhesive. I'm sorry, why do we keep calling it adhesive? More isopropyl alcohol. So you don't want to, be very careful. Our flex for the screen is right here. You don't want to open it more than about yay. From that point forward, you can just wiggle the screen back and forth until it comes off. Now we have the screen open. We're going to pull the retaining plate 1 and 2. There are a lot more screws that are about to come out, which is why magnetic mat is so important. Before we go disconnecting our ear speaker flex, our ear speaker's right there, I'm sorry, our ALS front mic flex, we want to disconnect our battery, and then we can come along Take our screen, set it aside. Now, this is a battery out repair, so I'll show you how to do that in just a sec. Keep your isopropyl alcohol handy. So we have this plate here. Essentially, you just want to press down and to the right. And then there is some adhesive that's holding it down. But we're just trying to get past this little hook right there. So next we're going to need a set of tweezers. So we have a couple of, the largest is lower right, after that lower left, and then the top one is pretty small. But the general approach that I use is I will get the battery tab started, and then I will apply a couple of drops of 91 or 99% isopropyl alcohol. And I like the left-right motion. Same thing on the other side. If you feel it start to tear, you can just apply some alcohol. And I'll try to get it before it retreats onto the battery. Now, the last is, I usually won't even bother pulling it out. I'll just apply some alcohol. Come in with my wedge. And it's out. Take our battery, set it aside. I forgot these two. There is a little bit of adhesive along here. You can apply some heat or just gently lift. So we need to wiggle our port out from under our board. Where are the adhesive? There's a little bit of adhesive holding in the port, a little bit of adhesive in this lower left corner. There's also some holding this like little plastic bracket to the actual frame. And then our microphone here. That is not a whole lot of strength keeping it in. Now you can either apply heat or you can not. But do you want to be able to get under this little area right here? This is also kind of tricky, kind of not. If you want, you can take your SSMO there. All right, so my port is basically free. We just need to get this little piece, which obviously just rotate counterclockwise. And then here is our port. Now, if you get yours and it's not, sometimes they're not like, pre-folded. A lot of the times, they'll come like this. So you just need to fold it over, make it fit. That's not the most difficult part. One of the more difficult parts is you need to break the adhesive holding this microphone into this little plastic bracket. A lot of the times this piece isn't included right here. And then this area, a lot of the times you'll have to fold this over. And let me see if I can get this on camera. But there is like this little dude right here has to like clip in. Look closely, you'll see what I mean. So now we're obviously going to do this in reverse. You shouldn't need to, but if it's getting stuck, you can loosen this standoff. Now, usually the first thing that I try to do is, well, okay, let's back up for just a sec. This flap has to go underneath this little speaker boot, whatever you want to call it. So once that's there, we can then focus on getting our port to line up. Before I go putting any of these screws in, usually I'll take the 2 Phillips right here, screw those in, and then test out with a port just to make sure that it, connects in properly, that it snaps in place, that it stays in place. My port's good. So I can proceed with the rest. So we can get all of our brackets in place. So we have a standoff 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you obviously can knock this out in whatever order you please. These 2 along here are tri-wing. Along this bottom left corner is another tri-wing. On this side is another tri-wing. So the Phillips goes in the right. Another Phillips right there. Now this bracket goes out the same way it goes in. You just kind of sit it down and then slide, nudge it to the right, hold it in place. Now you don't have to keep this sticker on if you want to, be my guest. There's a longer Phillips here. So I'm going to take a moment and remind you, like the video and subscribe. I'll wait patiently. So our standoff goes there. We are now ready to reconnect our flexes. This is the easy one, this one not so much. So you'll notice I didn't press dead center. On wider flexes, I usually like to press on one side and then the other, as it will help avoid accidentally bowing, and you can damage the flex. Next we have our battery and battery adhesive. So for our battery and battery adhesive, it's not a bad idea to get an extra one of these just in case you mess it up the first time around. But you do want the, I mean, this is white, but it looks pink, to be, I mean, literally just all the way up on the edge of the battery. Because we want to then take this and then fold this over, and these should be the length, or I guess the thickness of the battery approximately. Take out the top. Now, before you just go dropping your battery in, the technique that I have is, and there's a reason for this, is I will connect the battery first. So I haven't dropped it around yet. I can still move it. And then we lay the battery in. And the reason being is on more than one occasion, not so much with this model, but I will drop the battery in, and then you're doing like gymnastics trying to get, or gymnastics with this flex, trying to get this battery connector, you know, into our battery flex into the connector. Whereas if you connect it first, wherever you lay it down after that, there will be the proper reach. Am I going too in depth? Let me know in the comments. Am I not going enough in depth? Let me know in the comments. Personally, I think the most difficult part of any repair is always the reinstall. So I'm gonna, I don't know, I try to put as much effort into the, or like more effort into the reinstall, because that's, I figure, where you're probably gonna have problems, if you're gonna have problems. Hopefully you don't. So grab your screen. Make sure your battery is disconnected. We connected it there just to make sure that we had the proper reach. But the reason being is just because your device is off, as long as the battery is connected, there is juice running through the board. And the possibility of accidentally shorting something out goes up tremendously, which is why the first thing you do before disconnecting anything is disconnecting the battery. Same thing with reconnecting everything. Same thing as the charging port. I'll press right to left or left to right. I usually do left to right. Now we can connect our battery. I like to test the functionality of the device before I put my remaining brackets and screws in. So this is a prop, but this is the 12 Pro Max prop, but it's more or less the same. So the functions we're testing are lower mic, obviously our charging port, our loudspeaker, our Taptic engine. So I'll show you how to do that right now. Taptic engine is pretty straightforward. You just flick the vibrator motor or the Taptic engine or the mute switch, and then you should feel the Taptic engine vibrate. As far as the speaker, go to voice memos and then just record something. Test, 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 test. Yeah, I guess message me if you have any issues. If I can be of help, I will. Oh yeah, charging. Does it charge? Yay! So now we can proceed with putting our screws and plates. So the Phillips are to the right, everything else is a tri-wing. So a couple of things, or like mainly just one thing I'll mention. But before you go closing your device, sometimes screws will have a habit of getting lost, and typically they'll be in one of a couple of places. One would be just along the perimeter gasket, so just make sure that you're checking that. I've damaged screens before because of a screw getting stuck someplace. The screen was sticking up. I thought, oh, I'll just, snap it into place, and then it breaks. Ask me how I know how. And then other areas that are magnetic, so loudspeaker up top, or our Taptic engine, or our lower speaker. That's not loudspeaker, ear speaker, loudspeaker. So once we've confirmed that you don't have any screws that are stuck in any of these brackets in any sort of weird areas, then sort of wiggle it in place. It should be flush, crunch, crunch. Name that YouTuber.